What first comes to your mind when I say the name Energylandia? Is it arguably one of the best RMC hybrid coasters to date, Zadra? Hey, maybe it's Europe's second tallest roller coaster, Hyperion. What about the impressive fact that this place has a whopping total of 19 roller coasters as of 2024? Or maybe, like me, your first thought, not gonna lie, that's a pretty lazy name for a theme park, but I'll see what all the fuss is about, who am I to judge? But that's exactly what I'm about to be doing. Judging the absolute living out of Europe's very own coaster capital, Energylandia. Hello there, viewer. Okay, before I get on with all the very important reviewing, I've got to come clean. It turns out I'm pretty bad at filming things, so don't bully me, okay? Be nice. Which I know is something us theme park enthusiasts sometimes struggle with, but let's just drop our weapons for now, yeah guys? Because we have a theme park to review and there's a whole lot of theme in that park. No, that doesn't sound right. There's a whole lot of park in that theme. No, that's worse. There's a whole lot of roller coasters in this theme park. And you know what? Speaking of that, there's also a hell of a lot of rides that are in this park that I didn't even hear about. Maybe I just didn't do my research. But yeah, there's an absolute absurdity of flat rides across this park. Alton Towers here, listening right now. This is all I got. They've also got water rides and a big ass water park that your theme park tickets get you into for free. I mean, what else could you ask for? Oh yeah, that's right, the food. The food is actually good. Okay, I know that overall theme park food doesn't really set the bar very high, but we tried a lot of food over the course of the 2 days here, and I'm not lying when I tell you every single bite of every single thing absolutely slapped, and it definitely helps that the food here is ridiculously cheap if you're converting currencies.
I'm gonna have a donut.
This donut was like a quid, and this pizza thing was also like a quid. Need I say more? What was that? I should say more. Alright then. Let's start by glimpsing over the new area for the 2024 season, Sweet Valley. It's pretty clear that I don't fall into this zone's target audience, but even with that, I like this area quite a lot. The buildings are vibrant and fresh for the most part, and all the rides look really good. The Choco Chip Creek Mine Train roller coaster by Vekoma is pretty fun and has a cool pre-show where you're in a falling lift going down to the mines, which I thought was a bit strange as it seemed maybe a bit too scary for much younger audiences, but I guess it's pretty cool. There's also this other junior coaster, I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty awesome too, and had a fun queue line, so that's a bonus. But yeah, Sweet Valley gets a solid seal of approval from me, not my cup of tea, but I can see it being a classic. Speaking of classics, let's talk about the older part of the part which takes up a large chunk of the actual park space and gets quite a lot of mean comments online. So is it really that bad? If I'm being honest, not really. Sure, there's a few places that look a bit odd and cheap, with equally odd and cheap coasters and rides, but the majority of the older section of Energylandia still holds up pretty well in my opinion. There's a few loosely themed sections like a Swiss town for some reason. Oh, and there's a race themed area. Also a bit of a pirate area, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know. It's definitely not well planned and doesn't hold up to the newer parts of the park, but it isn't really as bad as people make it out to be. You'll find a lot of good flat rides around here though. There's a booster, which, okay, yeah, is a bit odd to see in one of these theme parks. There's an SBF Visa Group Ranger, Drop Tower and Frisbee, a Fabri Top Spin, a Zamperla Disco, and many more smaller rides for the whole family, so it's safe to say you're not going to run out of things to ride anytime soon. You also won't run out of videos to watch if you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you stay up to date with all the latest bangers, but other than that, let's move swiftly on. This park does have a bit of an odd layout to get used to. You have to go through a tunnel to get between the new and old sections of the park, and I managed to walk right into some dead ends quite a few times whilst here, but I don't know, maybe that's just because I have the same amount of brain cells as a drive tire. But on to what you've all been waiting for, the big hitters, the main attractions, the reason why I came to the park in the first place. Let's start off with Hyperion. What an absolute masterpiece of a ride. This thing is tall, fast, and snappy as hell through some of its elements. I don't think I was ready for how aggressively those trains go through this coaster's layout. It should be illegal, and it just keeps hitting too. From the very first drop to the very forceful and oddly satisfying brake run, Hyperion keeps you entertained. It doesn't suffer from what a lot of coasters like this one suffer from, which is that feeling like it probably should have ended about 20 seconds ago, but now it's just doodling along and wasting your time. So very, very good coaster, one of the best I've been on, and I also quite like the simple space theming and lighting around the queue line and station, even if it does take about 77 business days to actually walk to the station from the ride entrance. Now, a coaster that I think does suffer from its own pacing is the park's fairly new Vekoma launched LSM coaster, Abyssus. That certainly looks the part, but I think this one is definitely a bit of a swing and a miss for the park, even if that's quite a hot take. It's not that it's bad, it's just pretty damn bland, because although there's a few good elements, most of it feels extremely uninspired and lacks any proper direction or goal, so it ends up just very average at best. It has some good intensity at times and has a few snappy transitions, with the entire ride experience feeling really nice and smooth, move. I don't know, I just didn't really get all that much from it. Theming is cool though, until you turn your head about 45 degrees and see the maintenance shed.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Mayan coaster is an infamous Vekoma SLC, but this time with vest restraints, which help numb the pain ever so slightly. But there's still not much you can do to save this piece of shit. I'm not gonna beat around the bush, it looks terrible. It takes forever to actually get on it because of the terrible throughputs these coasters seem to have, and when you're finally riding it, well, let's just say the turbulence on my way home was more enjoyable. The only coaster that made me want to die even more than this one, however, was Viking, a steel wild mouse from SBF Visa Group that feels like it was designed to be some sort of torture device from the Middle Ages. I had heard bad things about the comfort of the ride, but I thought I'd see for myself, so you don't have to, and safe to say this thing rose from hell just to punish the living. On a better note though, Speed is a great water coaster with an intimidatingly tall drop, and although the theming around here is generic, it's still a nice area to be in, walk around and take in the atmosphere. Formula is not too far away either, and unlike Abyssus, I found this to be really quite something. I thought the pacing was a hell of a lot better, the launch, although not forceful, was a fun part of it, and just found the transition between each element to be really well thought out and actually good, but it inevitably ends up getting overshadowed by the park's even better rides like Hyperion and Zadra, which brings me smoothly onto the last big coaster at this park, and in my opinion, easily the best part. Zadra is an RMC hybrid coaster that opened in 2019 in the new and first properly themed area at the park, the Dragon Zone, which features some amazingly themed medieval buildings and some other attractions that all come together to create an awesome immersive experience. Zadra is at the heart of this area and was the very first high-box RMC hybrid to be constructed from the ground up rather than RMC converting an older wooden coaster like they usually do. It's also tied with Iangwazi as the tallest hybrid coaster in the world, and fun fact, Zadra in Polish translates to splinter, which I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty badass name for a hybrid coaster. The coaster itself looks f***ing amazing, which doesn't even do it justice. This is seriously the best looking roller coaster I've ever seen. It's perfect from every single angle. The actual ride experience is also completely phenomenal, with an insane amount of airtime, hang time, snappy transitions, unique transitions, and so much more, all whilst keeping a ridiculous amount of speed up until the brake run, where you get to experience exactly what it feels like to have severe whiplash. This is only the third RMC hybrid coaster I've ever ridden, and yeah, this thing has gone straight up to the top of my coaster rankings. It's unbelievable. So does Energylandia suck? Absolutely not. It's a cheap trip, it's a cheap park and cheap food with some world-class coasters sprinkled on the top. This park was way better than I was expecting it to be. Even the bad parts of this park are still really good in my opinion. I can't wait to see what else they add in the future because this park is growing so fast, because by the time you get through Zadra's queue line, there'll probably be even more roller coasters to ride. Because I'm planning on making a review like this for every park I visit, I think it'll be fun to give them an overall score, so I'm gonna start things off with a pretty hefty one, giving Energylandia a very, very strong 9 out of 10, which admittedly is pretty high, but let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe whilst you're at it. But other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.